Hey gorgeous soul, it's Vix. Welcome back to my channel. I am here today with your all signs tarot and oracle reading, your tarot scope for the month of June 2024, or whenever you happen to come across this video, it's all good. So there's a couple of ways you can work with this video. You can watch your sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising sign if you know what they are. Or you can use this as a kind of intuitive process. You can have a little look at the signs down below and you can just pick on the one that you most resonate with. So this isn't necessarily like this message is only for Geminis. If you feel called to listen to the Gemini message, then go ahead and listen to it. I'm sure there will be something in there for you. I have a couple of things to tell you about before we begin the reading today. The first thing that I'm so excited about, I am teaching magic again for the first time in a really long time. My brand new course is called Basic Witch, and it is exactly what it says on the tin. It is for you if you are just starting on your magical journey. Or maybe you are trying to figure out if you're a witch or not a witch, or what you are or what you're into. Or maybe you've been on the path for a little while, but you kind of feel like you don't quite have the basics down, like you're still a bit unsure of some of the things that we're going to cover, like energy protection, which is one of the most important things that you need on this journey. We're also going to go into some spell crafting, how to really do a spell. We're going to do it from a place of like, it's not just like you sit there and do a spell, you know, there's so much more to it, like intention and being able to connect with your spirit guides and your intuition, all of that stuff. If that is something that you're interested in, click below because it's going to be so much fun. I would love to have you there. There will be payment plans available and things like that too if you need support in that way. The other thing is, of course, I am here for readings this month, and you can find out how to grab a personal reading with me via the links below as well. So we are going to be pulling 2 cards for each sign today, an oracle card and a tarot card, and we are using the Galactic Guides Oracle, which is the deck that I created with Ellie Grant, and it's published by Rockpool, and it is so fun and so accurate. The readings that I get from this deck just blow me away. And our tarot deck this month is the Wandering Star Tarot. This is a really beautiful, really slightly different and very interesting deck, but I really love this. So this is the Wandering Star Tarot. That's by Kat Pierce, and that's actually published by Hay House. So let's just take a moment to prepare ourselves for their reading today. If you are somewhere where you can close your eyes, I invite you to do that. If it is not safe for you to close your eyes where you are, please don't. But let's just take a moment to just take a pause. I always like to put my hand on my heart. And let's take 3 deep breaths together. So deep inhale and exhale. And deep inhale and exhale, and one more, just really dropping into the space. Deep inhale and exhale. So you might like to take a moment here before we begin to just think about any question that's on your mind or on your heart at the moment that you need some guidance on, that you need some support with. And just set your intention for what you'd like to receive during this reading today. And I would like to set the intention, as always, that everything that comes through is in alignment with the best and highest good of all. And so it is. Okay, so this month we're going to begin with Gemini, my favorite sign. It's Gemini season, so we're going to start with Gemini. Gemini, your cards are, and I've already shuffled, I've already got all the cards out this time round. I am loving your cards, Gemini. Really positive, really exciting cards for you. Jupiter, expansion, luck, wisdom, and teaching. Such a positive card. I know some of you will be like, oh, thank gosh. thank gosh that it's not just another like huge big challenge this month. We've got Jupiter, although Jupiter can bring challenges too, but I don't feel that for you this month. And we've also got the Two of Cups, partnership, harmony, and peace. So these are really, really nice cards. And I feel like for you, Gemini, and for, you know, for everybody really who's, you know, called to watch this, I think so many of us have been going through a lot, right? We've had eclipse season, we've had like retrogrades, we've kind of come into this year and we've just had it all like cosmically thrown at us. And I feel like the beginning of this year has really brought this amazing opportunity for change and higher awareness, and for us to kind of move more into a space of like, well, who are we really? What do we really want? What's important? I feel like there's been a real shedding for you and for many of us over these last 6 months. As we come into the middle of the year here, we've gone through this like really intense time collectively, cosmically, astrologically. But I feel like for you, Gemini, this month offers you some relief from that. There's some relief here, which just feels really like needed and really kind of like, oh, okay. That's great. That's some good news. That's some really good news for you, Gemini. So what the guidance is around this, you know, when we have these times when things have been really, really tough, and then we kind of get this time of like, oh, you know, you're allowed to have a little bit of a break now. You can like rest and not rest in the sense that, oh, just go sit on the couch all month, but it just feels like things aren't going to be so hard this month. Like things are going to kind of feel a little bit easier. There's going to be more ease. There's going to be more flow. But that only happens if we set the intention to make it happen. So we need to be down with that. We need to be down with the idea that things are not going to be so difficult moving forward. And I feel it very much for this month, but I also feel like there's an ease for you kind of going into the next few months as well. It's kind of like we've been climbing to the top of this mountain, and now we get to enjoy the view. That's the feeling I have for you, Gemini. And I love that because I'm Gemini. So I'm like, thank you for this guidance. This is really great. But yeah, there's just this feeling of like, of ease and flow, and like things are just not going to be so hard moving forward with the rest of this year. But we have to make that happen. A lot of the time when you watch a video like this, you know, someone will give you guidance, and a lot of people, you know, don't read in the way that I do. I very much read in the way of, here's some things that you can take and you can work with, and you can decide for yourself, you know, whether you want to accept them or not or whatever. But, you know, a lot of people will say, this is going to happen and this is what's on the cards. But it's your job to go, okay, actually, yes, Vix, I do want that. I'm going to do what I need to do to create that in my life. I'm going to make the changes I need to make so that I can have that positive experience that you're talking about. Things don't usually, sometimes they do, but things don't usually just happen because somebody told you they would happen in a tarot reading, right? Like this is like, you have an opportunity. This is an invitation for you to experience more ease and experience kind of like, you know, a different kind of just ease and flow and things not being so hard, but you have to help yourself. That's a big message coming through for you, Gemini, is you have to help yourself these next few months, this month, these next few months. You have to help yourself so that you can have that experience. It's available to you, it's available for you, but you have to help yourself to get there and have that experience. So that feels really positive for you this month, Gemini. I hope it's a good one. Let me know in the comments how it goes. And if you want to work together this month, all of the links will be below on how we can do that together too. Sending you lots of love. Okay, Cancerians. Your oracle card is Procyon, personal development, soul growth, breathwork, and light codes. I love her. And then you also have Three of Pentacles. And this tarot is really fun because it has keywords: enterprise, success, talent, and teaching. So what I'm really feeling for you, Cancerians, kind of moving into this month, this feels like a month where a lot of the work you've been doing on yourself, you're going to start to see that pay off. you're going to start to see it pay off, but you need to look for that. So what I'm seeing for you, especially at this time, is you've been doing a lot of work on yourself and for yourself, but you haven't really noticed just how much of a change that has made in your life and how much of a change it's made within yourself. So I feel like your guides would really love for you to sit down and go, wow, like look how much more well-adjusted I am now than I was a few months ago or a few years ago, or look at how far I've come. That's the message that's kind of coming through here, is like, look at how far you have come. You have come so far on this journey. You have put in the work. You have shown up for yourself. You've shown up for spirit. You've shown up for the divine assignments that have been handed to you. You've said yes. You've done the work, and now you get to see it paying off. And when this pays off, like, I think sometimes we kind of have this idea that these, we do this work on ourselves and then we get the payoff, and it comes in the form of like cash money or like a new house or a better situation in some ways, and that can absolutely happen. That can absolutely be how it happens. But one of the best things that happens to you when you work on yourself is you just become more grounded. You know who you are. You move through the world differently. You have more confidence. You are somebody that can show up for your dreams. So maybe the big dreams haven't come true yet. Maybe you haven't manifested everything that you want to manifest just yet. But you're on the journey, you're on the path, and to be able to see the changes that you've made within yourself is just so, so powerful. Like you have, you've made some incredible changes to yourself and to your life, and it's really important that you honor and see that, and then you can continue making those changes. So if you're not resonating with that and you're like, Vix, I don't see the changes in my life or in myself, then guess what? This month is all about doing that. It's all about doing that. And even if you are seeing the changes, it's about continuing on that path. We never really come to the end of this path, right? There is no end to the path of personal development. It continues until the very moment that we leave our bodies and we go into the next place. We're always going to be working on ourselves. We're always going to be trying to be a better version of ourselves or become more ourselves and release the things that are not us. So this month for you, it's all about personal development, working on yourself, but doing it from a place of like love for yourself and a desire to just have a more positive experience in the world. I'm also hearing for you, the word joy is coming through really loud and clear. Like that is one of the ways that we can work on ourselves. One of the most powerful ways, one of the most powerful things we can do to work on ourselves is to just experience more joy and just be in joy. So remember that working on yourself doesn't just have to be like this huge chore of this thing that's like, oh God, I got to work on myself. It should be fun to work on yourself. And you should be like, wow, okay, here's a new thing I've discovered about myself. I'm going to work on that. And then you work on it and you're like, wow, that was cool. But have some fun while you're doing it. Have some fun while you're on this spiritual path. That feels really important for you as well. So I hope that resonated. Let me know in the comments, and all the deets are below and how you can work with me this month as well. Sending you lots and lots of love. Okay, Leo, let's see what you have. Oh, okay, so you have some big cards. You have some big cards this month. You have Mars, assertion, force, and passion. So Mars is a big, big energy, as you may know. And you also have the Three of Swords. Now, there are keywords on these tarot cards, and the keywords here are heartbreak, sorrow, and grief. I am a big fan of the Three of Swords, and I actually have a video on the Three of Swords that I filmed years and years and years ago. And it's still one of my most popular videos. People love that video because it really kind of breaks down this idea of the Three of Swords being something to be feared, something to worry about. The Three of Swords to me is very much like a healing card. Like I always feel like once you get the Three of Swords, like the swords have already gone in. So, now it's time to pull them out. And now it's time to have some healing. So this is one thing that's really coming up for you, Leo, this month is very much around following your healing journey. and committing. I'm hearing that word really loudly, committing to your healing journey. So you might have dabbled in some healing for yourself. You might have been like, oh yeah, a bit of self-care, a bit of therapy, a bit of looking after myself, a bit of just like taking time out and going to bed early. But this month you're really being asked to commit to the healing journey. So let's talk about that for a second, what actually is the healing journey, because there's a lot of these phrases that just get like so thrown around in spiritual community. I'm off on my healing journey. It's like, okay, what? Your healing journey can really be whatever it is for you, right? For some people, a healing journey is all about sitting down and journaling out your feelings every day, or it can be working with a therapist or working with a Reiki healer or learning Reiki and learning energy healing and doing that on yourself, or even, ending up doing it for other people. It can be that you pull cards for yourself every day, that you meditate, but also a healing journey is so much more than that. Like a healing journey is more of like a concept than just like the things that you're doing. It's more like you're just on this path where you're just committed to experience healing in your life, in your heart, in your body. And when you kind of commit to the healing journey, you kind of just go on this journey of like noticing the things that come up and noticing like, oh, okay, this feels like a healing moment. One of my favorite things to do when I feel like I need a bit of healing is to go out in nature and just take slow walks through trees and just kind of sit with myself and be with myself and reconnect with nature. Like, going for a walk outside can just be such a healing experience, right? So it's not that you're like packing in your month of like, Vic said I have to be on a healing journey, so I'm going to do all these things to heal myself. It's an intention that you set. I'm ready to heal. I'm ready to heal, and I'm ready to feel more whole. I'm ready to feel better. I'm ready to kind of let go of the past, whatever it is for you. I feel like there's definitely some stuff for you, Leo, around letting go of the past. There's that Mars energy, that Mars energy really brings in, it can really bring in like difficulties in relationships, things that have felt very forced, things that you've tried to force in your life that haven't worked out. Maybe you feel like some grief from the things that didn't work out in the past. But I'm really hearing very much for you this month that it's about moving forward, and we can learn so much from the past. Like we really, really can. We can look at where we've come from and what has happened to us up to now, and we can use that as part of the healing journey. But sometimes I'm hearing really loudly that sometimes we really can get stuck there. Like we can really get stuck in this space where all we do is focus on where we've been and what's happened up to now, and we're not so focused on who we are right now and what we can create and what we can do and what we can see happen in our future. So a bit more focus on the future, but also honoring your healing journey. But don't make your healing journey just about who you were in the past and what happened in the past. Make your healing journey about who you want to be now, who you want to be, what you want to experience moving forward. I really hope that resonated. I really hope that was useful. Let me know in the comments. And if you'd like to work together this month, all of the deets are below on how we can do that. And I'm sending you lots and lots of love. Virgo, let's see what is coming up for you. Okay, you've got some interesting cards here. So Pluto, revolution, transformation, death and rebirth, liberation. That's a really big card. But then you also have the Ace of Swords, success, change, decisions and action. So you've got these two keywords here around change. So Virgo, there's very much some change in the air. There's very much some things that are changing for you. We are, of course, in Pluto retrograde. You can go and have a look at like what that means. But, you know, usually when we're in retrograde, it gives us an opportunity to kind of like take a step back and pause and look at things rather than like we're forcing and pushing and trying to make things happen. So Pluto retrograde is kind of giving us this opportunity to have a look at what really needs to change in our lives that maybe we're not paying attention to. So I'm feeling that really, really clearly for you right now, that this is a month to look at the things that need to change in your life that you're not paying attention to, or that you haven't paid attention to up until now, or that you've kind of maybe have been aware of, but you haven't been ready yet to kind of make the change. And so some of these things will be things that you'll see in your outside world. Maybe there'll be very obvious things that you know need to change. Maybe you're in relationship or friendship groups or job that is just like, you know, you need to change it. You know, you need to get out of that situation. Then, you know, maybe that's what's occurring for you this month. But also what I find when a lot of these cards kind of come up for me is I feel like it's very much about the inner change and what are you changing within yourself. Whether that is changing your thoughts, changing your habits. I'm feeling that really, really loudly for you, that this is about changing habits. Changing your habits. So what are you doing? How are you spending your time? What are you doing with your time that is not helping you move forward and not helping you become the person that you want to be, and it's not helping you manifest the things that you want to manifest in your life. We so often, so many of us, we get into this whole thing about manifesting, and it's like we do all the manifesting stuff, right? We do the spells, we do the vision board, we do the affirmations, we do all of these things, and then we wonder why it's not happening. But if we look at the ways that we are moving through our day, moving through our month, moving through our year, moving through our lives with these habits that are like really not helping us to be in alignment with what we're trying to manifest, what we're trying to make happen, then we're just going to sabotage ourselves. And that is not what I want from you. I do not want you to be in a place where you're sabotaging yourself. I want you to be fulfilling your dreams and doing everything that you came here to do in this lifetime. So sometimes that just starts with changing your habits. So we do this all the time. Everybody does this. I do this. Everybody does this. We all of us have habits that are a form of self-sabotage. One of my things is looking at my emails at times when I shouldn't be looking at my email. So like just quickly checking my emails, you know, at night or in the morning before I have, really had a chance to like do my exercise and, you know, do things for myself. That is a habit that I know is so unhelpful for me. Right? It's just like, and it's pointless because I don't need to be checking my email at those times. I can check it during business times and it's all good. It's fine. And what usually happens when I check my email at the wrong time, there's usually always something in there that's like, somebody's like, you know, complaining at me about something, or someone's being difficult, or there's something that's happening that I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to deal with this right now. So not that I get a lot of emails like that, but, you know, when you kind of put yourself out there in the world, sometimes people feel the need to tell you what they don't like about you and things like that. So, you know, that's just like an example of habits that don't serve and support us. So think about your habits this month. Think about the habits that are just not serving and supporting you right now. Because if you can change those, if you can take your power back from just these little tiny habits, things will really shift for you. And I notice how things shift for me when I go into this energy of like, I'm not going to do that this week. You know, I set really strong boundary and I'm like, I'm going to just not look at my email at like any time when I'm not supposed to be looking at my email. And the energy is completely different and I get more done and I'm more productive. And, you know, all of these things that happen when we just change a little habit. Okay, Virgo, I hope that was useful for you. Please check the links below if you'd like to work with me this month, and I'm sending you lots and lots of love. Libra. Oh, Libra, you've got some good cards this month. Vega, luminosity, creativity, talent, and fame. This is one of my favorite cards in this deck. She's one of the last ones that we did. She's one of the last cards that we did in the deck. And she had to look like this. She just had to be like this. Anyway, and then you've also got the High Priestess, and the keywords on this card: secrets, dreams, wisdom, inner voice, and spirit world. So I do like some of the keywords on the tarot, but there's some other things that I always think about with the High Priestess, and I feel very much like she is in her power. The High Priestess is just a woman who's in her power. You don't have to be a woman to identify with that energy, but she is like, she's legit, she's the real deal. And this month for you, Libra, is all about you stepping into that energy of being the real deal. It feels really, really powerful. It feels really like a big initiation. I feel like, and Gemini had a similar message. We've been through a lot over the last few months, collectively and personally. We've been through a lot. We've had a lot of cosmic stuff happening. We've had a lot of collective stuff happening. And now we kind of reach this point where it's like, well, where do we go from here? And so there's been, for you, Libra, there's been like a real kind of exciting shift, really. I feel like there's been a lot that's been released, especially around what other people think of you and boundaries. I feel like a lot of you have been working really hard on boundaries. And when you work on your boundaries and you step out of worrying so much about what other people think of you, then you can really step into your power. That's where your power is. We talk all the time about this person took away my power, or like we talk about that way more than we talk about where we give our power away. But we do give our power away all the time in all different ways. And people take our power, and we can talk about sometimes they do take our power from us when we're not in a place where when we're in a vulnerable place. Sometimes people do that, but also sometimes we give our power away, whether it is conscious or unconscious. And we think of calling back our power, and we're like, I've got to take it back from that person, or I've got to take it back from that situation. And there's loads of like visualizations you can do to do that, and that can be really powerful too. But one of the most powerful things we can do to take back our power is to just decide that we have it. And to just say, I'm powerful. And that's your affirmation this month, is like, I'm powerful. I'm so powerful. Like every day I'm just stepping more and more into my power and into the truth of who I really am. And it just feels like you finally got to this place, where like you're not so worried about what everybody else thinks. You're not so worried about having to appear a certain way or tick a certain box or whatever. You're like, I'm here to be whoever I'm here to be. And that's it. So it feels like a really exciting time for you. It feels like you're really stepping into your power. You're really owning your power. And if you're listening to this and you're like, Vix, I do not feel this at all for myself. I do not feel like I'm stepping into my power one bit, or it's something that you're struggling to do, then the message here is around boundaries. And I just want to also stress that having boundaries is not just about saying no. I always see all of these like memes and posts on social media about like having boundaries means saying no. And yes, sometimes that's what a boundary is. But having good boundaries, it's an energetic thing. It's an energetic thing that you create in your energy field by setting strong intentions around what you are willing to accept into your energy field and what you are not willing to accept. And I've talked about this before in different readings in different places, but there are things that people used to ask me for all the time, but people don't ask me for them now. Partly maybe because I said no so many times that they're like, you're not going to say yes to this. But you can put in your energy field, you project like, hey, I'm available for good vibes. I'm available for people who are really positive. I'm available for great opportunities. I'm not available to like sit around and listen to everybody's problems when they're not willing to help themselves. You know, there's things that you can do. There's intentions that you can set that will help you to have this expansion of your aura, this, you know, energy in your aura, where people will know what they can come to you for and what you're not available for. You won't even have to say it. So boundaries, and maybe you have to say it for a while at the start before before it really kind of becomes a part of your energy. But yeah, it feels really powerful. Like, those are some like super, super powerful cards and amazing energy. And it just feels like you're doing some good work. You're doing some good work, and you're really like, you know, you don't need me. You know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. Okay, I really hope that this served and supported you, and all the links are below if you would like to work together this month. And I'm sending you lots and lots of love. Scorpio, your cards are Saturn, discipline, maturity, structure, and leadership, and the Page of Swords. So it's really interesting because Saturn to me always feels a little bit like that crone energy, very wise, very kind of wise woman energy. And then you've also got this fresh new Page of Swords energy. Okay, so we've got some keywords here: curiosity, intelligence, charm, and ambition. It's quite an interesting combo of cards here. So what the first thing that I'm hearing for you, Scorpio, is, you know, as soon as I saw the discipline keyword, and this is how you know when the keywords for you, when you do a reading for yourself, you turn over a card and you look at the keywords, and if there's one that you're like, oh, I do not want to see that, that's probably the one that's for you. That's probably the one you should be paying attention to. So as soon as I turned this over, I was like, oh, discipline. Because I knew, I was like, oh, I'm going to have to talk about discipline, and no one wants to have that conversation. But discipline is like everything. Unless you're somebody who's way too disciplined, you're way too harsh on yourself. But being harsh on yourself isn't the same as discipline. It's like a totally different energy. And I think what we often relate to discipline is this energy of like harshness, of like, you know, when you're at school and you got disciplined, or, you know, I don't know, you know, however you've kind of engaged with that word over time. It's heavy. It's got a lot, you know, there's a lot kind of tied up in that word. But ultimately, discipline is just like boundaries. It's a container. It's creating a container so that you can have the experience that you want to have. And I see people all the time in spiritual community who, a lot of us get onto the spiritual path because we really don't vibe with like the patriarchy. We've tried to find, and you know, a lot of us have tried to find our spirituality in organized religion, and it hasn't worked out because it felt like there was too much structure, too much discipline. You know, you have to be here, you have to say this, you have to do this, with like no explanation of why. You know, that was definitely part of my experience in the church. Was like, there were things I loved about the church, but I had a lot of questions of like, why do we have to say this, and why do we have to do it like this? And no one had the answers. And so then we go off onto this journey, this spiritual journey, where it's like, okay, well, now we can just kind of like vibe, you know, we can just vibe. We can just have this experience of spirituality where we just go with the flow and we just vibe, and it's all good and beautiful. And that is absolutely all good and beautiful. And if that's where you are at, then that's amazing. Although you picked these cards for a reason. So I would like to talk to you about the power of discipline. And how discipline can get you from just vibing to thriving. How can we make that happen? So there are lots of things that I like to do, and I bang on about this all the time, but having a daily spiritual practice is not something you should see as a chore. You should see it as a challenge, maybe, because it can be challenging at times, but you should see it as something that you are doing for yourself because it makes you better and it makes your life better. And when it's something that makes you better and makes your life better, why wouldn't you want to do that? And some days maybe it doesn't happen. And on those days, you go to self-love and you don't be harsh with yourself. You say, okay, why didn't I do it today? What was it that was stopping me from doing it? But most people who have a daily spiritual practice, they do it because it makes them feel good. And so when they're tempted to take a day off or not show up for it, then we have that reminder of like, well, why do we do this? We do it because it helps us. So this is really just going to be a big lecture about how important it is to have a spiritual practice that really serves and supports you. And I'm having so many problems with my hair today. And that's a spiritual practice in itself, dealing with your hair issues. But what can you do? How can you set up a spiritual practice for yourself every single day where you just show up? And what happens when you just show up? And it doesn't have to be something big. Like your daily spiritual practice can be, I sit and I meditate for 5 minutes, or I sit and I meditate for 2 minutes and then I pull myself a card for the day. That can be it. It's like 3 minutes. And people always tell me, Vix, I don't have time for a spiritual practice. Do you not have 3 minutes? How much time do you spend scrolling on your phone? Probably more than 3 minutes, most of us. Most of us spend more than 3 minutes scrolling on our phone every day. You have time. I used to do my spiritual practice in my car. I used to drive to work. I used to leave the house at like just before 6 a.m. to get into London for 7. At 7:30, and then I would sit in the car and I'd meditate and I'd pull myself a card, and then I go into work. So you can find 3 minutes. And then what you'll find happens when you show up for yourself and you do those 3 minutes, or maybe it's longer, and that's great too. It changes you. It changes the way that you show up for things like your dreams and your goals and all the things that you want to achieve in life. I don't think it's a coincidence that I have just signed my 7th publishing contract at the same time that I, have been writing and publishing, getting my books and decks out there into the world. I've been doing a daily spiritual practice. I don't think it's coincidence. I think there's something else going on, You show up for yourself for 3 minutes every day. You become someone that shows up for your dreams. It's as simple as that. If you want to manifest something and you want to make it show up in your life, you got to show up for it. So that's what a spiritual practice is, right? Like we're practicing for life. We're practicing so that we can become a person that shows up for what's important to them. And when you start showing up for what's important to you, that's when the good shit happens. Okay, I feel like I just gave you such a massive lecture. I used to be a high school teacher, so I feel like I really just went back into that, place. But yeah, Scorpio, it's some big stuff for you to think about this month. I hope that it's useful. Send me a comment below and let me know. And if you want to work together this month, the links are all down below. If you want to work with me after that, maybe that's what you needed. Maybe you need more of that. Then check the links below, and I'm sending you lots and lots of love. Sagittarius, your cards are Lyra, confidence, purpose, potential, and fulfillment. And the 3 of Wands. So these are both really, okay, I'll read you the keywords here. Action, adventure, luck are the keywords. So these are some good cards for you, Sagittarius. I'm really, really loving these. I love the Lyra card. I love the Lyra energy. It's just, whenever I see that card, I always kind of see it as like a sign of that you're on the right path. And so I think, if you get one thing from this reading, if you've been wondering lately, are you on the right path? Are you doing the right thing? Are you focused on the right thing? Then the answer is probably yes. But, listen to your intuition. Always trust your intuition. I love doing these readings. Loads of people always message me and say, this was so accurate. This was so helpful. But first and foremost, you have to trust your own intuition. You have to really ask yourself, like, how does this really feel for me? So if you've been wondering if you're on the right path, but you've been feeling like, I think I'm on the right path, but I'm not really sure, then this is your confirmation. If you've been more like thinking, I don't think I'm really on the right path, then this might be your confirmation that to pay attention to that. So there's a couple of things coming through here too around what does it really mean to be on the right path, and how do you know if you're on the right path? And one thing I always like to say to people is that, like, there kind of is no right and wrong path. You know, you're just on the path that you're on, and you make the most of the path that you're on. And if you want to be on a different path, you want to go in a different direction, then you figure out ways to make that happen. The path isn't just something that happens to you. The path is a choice, and at any moment you can go in a different direction. We kind of have this, Kundalini Yoga talks about it. It's a beautiful way that they talk about this in Kundalini Yoga teachings. We have the fate path and we have the destiny path. And the fate path is what you're on when you just kind of let fate happen. And you believe in fate, and you think everything's fated, and things that happen to you because you're supposed to happen to you, but you don't really go out of your way to change anything. You're just kind of like, okay, life just happens, things just happen to me, and that's how it's supposed to be. And when you're on the destiny path, you're in control, and you start making changes, and you start looking at things that you want to change, and you think about the things that you want to manifest, and you make those things happen. You know, using an example from my life, getting a book deal. I know that's like a big dream for a lot of people. Getting a book deal is something that for most people, it doesn't just happen. You know, it doesn't just happen. For some people it does. And there's some amazing stories about that, you know, where people have just kind of been minding their own business and someone wants to suddenly like give them a book deal and get them to write about something. That kind of happened with me with my first book deal. I did get approached by the publisher who said, can you write us a book? And that was really exciting. But that came out of after me running my business and showing up on social media for like years and years and years before that happened. Right? So it wasn't just like, oh, you know, it's my destiny to do this. It was more like I followed the breadcrumbs and I walked the path that I felt was the path that was really calling me. I walked the path that I wanted to walk. I felt like I wanted more for my life. So I started walking a path that was like, I want more for my life. And I feel like you're a little bit, Sagittarius, like at a crossroads this month where you have this kind of these two different ways you can go. And one says, I'm just going to keep letting life happen to me. And the other one says, I want more out of life. And you're standing here at the crossroads and you get to decide now. Do you want to go this way or that way? And if you decide to go down the fate path and you're like, you know what, I'm just going to keep letting things happen to me, that's okay. That's your choice. At any time, you can change over onto the I want more out of life, I want to make things happen path. It's not like, well, once you're on that path, you're screwed. That's it. You can never make a different decision. People talk to me about this all the time in readings. My clients come and they say, I've got these two decisions and I have to decide whether to do this thing or do this or not do this thing or do this other thing. And so often it's like, well, if you do this thing, it doesn't work out. Like, what's the worst thing that will happen? You know, like, what's the worst thing that will happen if you do this thing? And a lot of the time it's like, well, you know, if I try to start a business and it doesn't work out, well, what will you do? Well, I'll go back to my job. It's like, okay. So, you know, what's the big deal? You know, not that I'm saying that it's not a big deal to, you know, start and run your own business, because it is a big deal and it's a lot of work. And, you know, maybe you'll miss out on you'll lose some paycheck maybe. But, you know, ultimately, if you're in a place where you're trying to make a decision in your life like that, and you're like, well, you know, I've been thinking about taking this course, or I've been thinking about applying for this job, or I've been thinking about this other thing. Like, ask yourself, what's the worst that will happen if that doesn't work out? Or you just have to go back and do something else. You know, what's the big deal? Give it a go. Try it. I feel like that's maybe not for everybody, that message, but for somebody it is. I really hope this served and support you, Sagittarius. If you want to work together this month, all of the links are below on how we can do that. And I'm sending you lots and lots of love. Capricorn. Mintaka, nostalgia, belonging, and community. Page of Wands, good news, communication. Okay, so one thing I'm really feeling for you, Capricorn, is that this month is very much around a focus on relationships, friendships, partnerships, collaboration, connecting with others, remembering that you're not here to do everything by yourself. A big message coming through is that it's very important for you to ask for help this month with whatever you need help with. So whether you need somebody to come around and fix your pipes, I don't know, like whatever's going on, ask for help, ask for somebody to come and do that. But I also feel like there's a big message coming through here, Capricorn, for you around asking your guides and angels for help. Asking your guides and angels for help and calling on them much more than you do. And this message could be for everybody, because I think so many of us, we just do not call on our guides and angels as much as we could and as much as they would love us to. They want to help us. I did a reading once for somebody where I saw very, very clearly their guides and angels were saying, we want you to work with us. We want you to call on us because we also have our own purpose. We also have our own soul contracts. We have our own like ascension journey. And part of what our guides and angels are doing for us and with us is they're on their own ascension journey. And if they can't help us, because this is part of what their journey is, right? If they can't help us because we don't ask, then they kind of just get stuck there. You know, like they need to be helping us. They need to be doing their job so that they can ascend, so that they can go to the next place, so that they can, you know, tick these things off their list that they have as well, right? I think sometimes we have this idea of like, oh, well, they're just hanging around and they'll just be hanging around for eternity. So it doesn't matter whether we call on them or not. And maybe there's some truth in that. I don't know exactly how it works. But what I have seen is that many of our guides and angels as well have these contracts with us to help and support us on our journey here on Earth. And if we don't ask them for help, then they don't get to fulfill their contract. So it kind of puts like this whole new spin on this idea of like, a lot of us are like, oh, I don't want to bother them. And it's like, actually, you're doing them a favor. You're doing them a favor when you say, hey, can you please help me out with this thing? It helps them and it helps you. So asking them for help, asking them for their support feels so important for you this month and always. But this month just feels like a really good time to ask for what you want and to put it out there. I also feel like you might have some things that you're trying to manifest or some things that you're trying to create or call in that you haven't really been clear about. So there's some messages here around be really clear about what you want. So you might have been asking for, well, I need some money or I need a better job situation or whatever. Ask for, like, be really clear about it. You know, like sometimes we have conversations with friends and they're like, so what do you want to do with your life? And you're like, oh, I don't know. Like, I think, you know, and this has happened to me in readings too, where I remember one reading, which was really an interesting reading. I spent about 45 minutes with this client just asking them, you know, what do you really want to do? And they were very in that energy of, I just don't know, you know, I don't know what I want to do. I'm not really sure. And then like, you know, just like in the last 10 minutes, all this stuff started coming through. Well, actually, what I really would like to do is boom, 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 boom. Like this clear, so much clarity, you know, just like, this is what I'd really like to do. But it was so hidden under all of this like uncertainty and shame. Like I think so many of us carry this shame of like, you can't just say what you want. You can't just ask for what you want. You can't just tell people what you want. You know, like that's just not what we do in our society. You know, we don't just say, I want this from you or I want that from life. But when we get really clear and we just say it, like I want boom, 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 it's like, whew, like everything else just kind of like gets really quiet and the universe is like, oh, wow, okay. She's just asked for what she wanted. Like, and we really heard that, you know, we really, really heard that. Your guides will hear it, your angels will hear it, your own psyche will hear it, your heart, your aura will hear it. You know, sometimes we just have to say it to ourselves. Like, we can ask our guides and angels and we can tell them what we want, but sometimes we just got to get really clear with ourselves of like, just be really honest about what we actually want and what we actually need. Because when we can figure it out and we can say to ourselves, this is what I really want and need, then we start to move in that direction. Whew, okay, Capricorn. That was kind of a big one. I hope that resonated. I hope there was something useful in there for you. All of the links are below if you would like to work together this month, and I'm sending you lots and lots of love. Aquarius. I have to like stop myself from singing every time I do this. Okay, Capricorn, you got Aquarius, you've got the Capricorn card, which is why I say Capricorn. I just got to make sure I didn't get confused. Okay, Aquarius, your card is Capricorn. Ambition, resilience, authenticity, and determination. This is big stuff, Aquarius, for you. You've also got the Devil, and the keywords on here are desire, obsession, fear, and shadow. Although, you know, I love the keywords on this deck, but there's also, like, when you read intuitively, you know, sometimes so much other stuff comes through that you're like, don't worry about the keywords. And this is, you know, this is good advice if you're interested in learning more about how to do intuitive readings, is to, like, you know, sometimes you just got to ignore every keyword that's on the card and just like go with whatever's coming in. So there's some stuff for you, Aquarius, some big stuff happening this month around... Oh, gosh, actually, it feels like there's a lot. It really feels like there's a lot for you this month. I'm feeling very much like you're kind of at a place where you could really see some change. You could really see some things moving forward, but there's like a stuck energy. There's like an energy of like, things aren't moving forward, things aren't happening, things aren't... or they're not moving forward as fast as you'd like, all that kind of stuff. And the Devil is really, you know, whenever I see the Devil in the tarot, there's a few things that come up, but one of the things is like the stories we tell ourselves and the way we get in our heads about things, you know. So that's a really good place to kind of start this month, to think about what stories are you telling yourself that are limiting you. What are your limiting beliefs? I know that's so cliche and corny and everyone's always banging on about limiting beliefs, but there is something in that for you this month to really, really pay attention to. That's what the Devil is in the tarot. You know, the Devil's not like some scary being that's going to come and like terrorize you. It's your limiting beliefs. It's the stories that you're telling yourself that are keeping you stuck. That's what the Devil is. You know, it's the inner, like the inner turmoil, you know, like what is, and for you, I'm just really feeling limiting beliefs and the stories that you're telling yourself that are keeping you in this space or in this state that you'd really like to break free from, that you'd really like to kind of, I'm done with these old stories. I feel like that's what the intention is. That's what the message is for you here this month. It's about just saying, I am done with these stories. I am done with living life in that way. And I'm going to break free, break the chains. That's what the Devil's all about. It's about breaking those chains. And I'm going to live a life that feels more free and feels more easy. And so, you know, that Capricorn energy here, ambition, resilience definitely feels like you've been very resilient. You know, you've been carrying around these stories for a long time. You've been carrying around these limiting beliefs for a long time. This authenticity, determination, ambition energy of Capricorn, you know, it's like you could do anything. You can do anything that you want. You can do all of the things that you want to do. You can live your best and highest life. You can manifest all these things that you want to manifest, but it's got to start with doing some work on those beliefs, those limiting beliefs. What beliefs do you have that are limiting you right now? What beliefs do you have that are limiting you and stopping you from manifesting what it is that you want to manifest, and what stories are you telling yourself? What stories are going around in your head of like, I can never do this. I'm not that kind of person. You know, whatever stories that you're telling yourself. I have all sorts of weird stories that I tell myself that pop up from time to time, and it's like, what? You know, why am I telling what? And it's great when they come up, because it's like, okay, now I can rewrite that. Now I can stop telling myself that story. So yeah, it feels like there's some big, sort of big stuff happening for you. But if you just focus on noticing this month when those limiting beliefs are coming up, and when you're telling yourself weird stories that are not serving and supporting you, just start to notice those. And when you notice them, they just clear. As soon as you notice them, you just go, wow, okay, that's weird. Why am I thinking that? And then, you know, that's one of the biggest parts of the process. There's lots of other magical things you can do to clear those, but just noticing them and being aware of them is so powerful. Okay, I hope that resonated. Let me know in the comments, and you will find all of the links below on how we can work together this month as well. Sending you lots and lots of love. Pisces. Oh, okay. I love when this happens. This is like one of my favorite things about doing readings. It's just like when this happens, it's just so good. Okay. You've got the Pleiades. Healing is the key word. Compassion, understanding, and peace. And then you have Temperance. The keywords are guidance, healing, moderation, and balance. So you have such a beautiful combination here. The keyword healing on both cards, I feel like we have to really focus on that. That's where we're going to have to focus for you, Pisces, for this month. Focus on your healing. Focus on your own healing. I can't remember which sign it was now. When I do these readings, I'm kind of just in like a weird state where I just like pass it all on and through, and then I can't remember any of it like 5 minutes later. But we did have another sign where it was very much about healing. So if you also got that, then that's like a double whammy. But I'm very much feeling for you this month that one of the best things you can do for yourself is really just focus on your own self-care. Focus on looking after yourself. Focus on honoring that you're such a sensitive soul, and it's one of the most beautiful things about you. Sensitive souls and, highly sensitive people, however you kind of empaths, whatever word you want to use to describe yourself. We have this amazing ability to tune into energy and to feel deeply and all of this great stuff. But along with that can also come like what I like to describe as like a healer burnout. Whether you're a professional healer or not, there's this thing that's like a healer burnout, which is like you just get to the point where it's like you don't have anything else left to offer anybody else, because you've been like, holding space for people or giving your energy, which, we could talk about that. That's like something that I could talk about all day long, like how to protect your energy. And I definitely feel like that's coming up for you too, Pisces, like some messages around and kind of amping up your energy protection, making sure that you're really protecting yourself energetically, and looking into different ways that you can do that. One of my favorite ways to protect my energy, and this has been coming up in like sessions for clients as well. Like I so often see when I tune into someone's energy, just like, you need to protect your energy. But one of the things that they've been showing me a lot, they used to show me a lot of like visualizations and affirmations and do this and do that, and you'll feel better. But something they've been showing me a lot lately is just working with crystals. And it doesn't have to be a crystal. It can be like an object of any kind, but to work with a crystal and program it to be your protection crystal. So it's really easy to do that. And all you really need to do is you just hold your crystal. And it's good if you get into a meditative state and, you know, take some time, take some deep breaths and calm yourself, and you get your crystal. And I like to just, like, you know, spend a bit of time holding it and connecting with it. And then I just like bring it up to my lips, and then I just tell it what I want it to do. So I just close my eyes and say, like, you know, thank you, crystal, for coming into my life. I know it feels really like corny. This is like when people are like, these people are so woo-woo. And you just kind of say, thank you for coming into my life. I would like to program you to be my protection crystal. Whenever you are with me, I will feel protected and I will feel safe. And I will know that nobody else's energy can harm me. You know, whatever it is that you want to say. You know, you don't need to get this from a book, although I have in Witch Please, there's like more tips about how to do this. But you just say what you want the crystal to do. And then I like to just take a moment to kind of feel that working, you know, like feel it working. Like you hold the crystal and then you feel yourself protected, and you're like, okay, now I can feel that protection around me, and I feel like it's activated. I feel like it's worked, what I've just said. And then you carry that crystal around with you. And one thing you can do as well, you know, sometimes we do this stuff with crystals and then we forget the crystal. Sometimes I do that when I forget to wear. I'm always wearing all these bracelets, and sometimes I forget to put them on, and I go out for the day and I'm like, my bracelets, oh my gosh. But one thing you can do with your protection crystal, if you go out and you forget it, you visualize that you have it with you. So you just visualize that it's in your pocket, and then it's like it's there, you know, energetically you have it with you. This is a really good tip that I only just discovered that one recently, but it's like, oh, okay. You know, the energy of your crystal will be there with you. So work with crystals, protect your energy, but please take time to just rest and heal this month. It's so, so important because you are such a sensitive soul. You take on so much, you see so much, you feel so much. Make sure you're getting time out. Just give yourself a break, rest, recover. Take that time out that you need and work with your crystal. Okay, I hope that was useful. I am sending you so much love. If you want to work together this month, the links are below on how we can do that together. Lots of love. Aries. Your cards are very positive cards, you'll be happy to know. Venus, love, beauty, sensuality, and pleasure. Loving that for you. And you also have the 9 of Pentacles, and the keywords on this card: comfort, accomplishment, prosperity, and stability. So we have this really beautiful combo of love and prosperity, Aries. This is like, you'll be vibing with this, and I don't think there's anything else I need to say. This is just a really beautiful month, and there's been a couple of other signs that have had like a kind of similar message around just how kind of tough the last few months have been for a lot of us, like energetically, spiritually, emotionally, cosmically, astrologically, all of these things. It's been a really, really big time. And so you're at this point now where it's like things are actually going to feel a little bit better, a little bit easier. But what you need to do is to focus on making that happen. This is really similar to one of the other, I think it may have been Gemini, really, really similar message here. But it's very much for you, it's very much focused around love and prosperity. In the areas of love and prosperity, you need to make the good things happen. You need to take back some of your power. I'm feeling like for some of you over the last few months, you may have fallen into a little bit of a pit of despair of like, oh, everything's so hard, things don't work for me, oh, the moon's in full, the Mercury's in retrograde, like there's always something. And I see this all the time online, and it can be really, really hard not to kind of buy into all of the stuff that we see online, all of the stuff that, whether it's in the spiritual world, like spiritual communities where you're seeing people just completely giving away their power to like cosmic alignments, or whether you're seeing it just generally in the world. I feel like there's a lot of that at the moment where people are just complaining a lot about everything. And that's not to say that we shouldn't have time and space to be like, wow, this sucks, because having a vent and talking about the things that we find challenging is really important. But we need to really start to get more aware of just how much that may be impacting our belief system, our own thoughts, our limiting beliefs, our stories that we tell ourselves, like all of the things that are kind of happening with our mindset. So I feel like this is a really powerful time for you to start to kind of shift some of the energy over the last few months. Like, you need to do this. Yes, there is like a shift in energy collectively, but you have a choice whether you want to keep kind of staying in this place where everything's terrible, the world's going to shit, like everything sucks, everything's so hard, or if you want to kind of move out of that and go, actually, I'm going to look for the love, I'm going to look for the prosperity, and that's where I'm going to kind of aim my projection. That's what I want to project, that's what I want to receive. I want to be a magnet for love and prosperity. I don't want to be a magnet for everybody complaining about everything all the time. And maybe you haven't been like super complaining about stuff, maybe it's just been like the odd thing. I've noticed for myself, like here in Australia, it is cold. Like, it is cold. Like, I'm wearing this like really warm jumper today. People always say to me, people who aren't from Australia, they're like, oh, you live in Australia, it must be like 40 degrees every day. Wow, like a tropical paradise. Yeah, it is a tropical paradise up north. Up north, it's a tropical paradise. I'm like 20 hours away from that down here. And it is cold. It is really, really cold. And I've been noticing just how much I've been complaining about that. And it's okay, to be like, this is hard. I'm finding this hard. There's a difference between, look, I'm finding this hard. I need to find a way to deal with this, and just like, oh, this sucks, like complaining about everything. It's not about toxic positivity. We don't want toxic positivity. We don't want to be like, just pretending that everything's fine when it's not fine. We can still honor, like, this is hard for me, but I'm going to try to stand my power and find some ways to make things better, versus just complaining all the time. Anyway, there's so much in that. I could talk about that all day. But your message is really about looking for the love and looking for the prosperity and going to that vibration as much as you can, instead of going somewhere else. Because the more you look for that and the more you focus on that, the more you will experience that. Okay, Aries, I hope this was useful for you. I hope it resonated. Let me know in the comments. And if you'd like to work with me this month, that is also the place to find out about how to do that. Sending you lots and lots of love. Taurus, lucky last this month. Okay. You have Leo, big-heartedness, fierceness, and boldness. I feel like all of those keywords are just perfect for you as well, for Taurus energy. You also have the Empress, luxury, beauty, that is so Taurus, harmony, abundance, grace, fertility, love, nature, beauty, and art. So these cards just feel like they're really aligned. And there is something to be said when you pull a card and you're like, this just feels so aligned for you. Like, this just feels like exactly you. When you pull a card and it's just like, whatever you're going through, it just feels like it's an exact mirror for whatever is kind of happening for you. That's kind of what I'm seeing here. I'm kind of feeling like you are really, the word that's coming to mind is like elevating, or you're elevated, or you're moving into like a higher state of awareness, a higher state of consciousness, which feels really, really exciting. There's like this feeling of a deeper alignment with within yourself, that you feel more aligned to your purpose, your path, what you're here to do. If you've been questioning that, if you've been questioning yourself of like, and this came up for another one of the signs as well, but if you've been questioning whether you're on the right path, you know, this is kind of like a yes, you are. This just feels like things are really in alignment for you. And I'm kind of struggling to find something to give you, to guide you, to help you, to support you. Because ultimately it feels like things are pretty good, or they're definitely moving in that direction. So, okay, one thing that is coming through is around being open to receiving. So a lot of the time when, you know, we see these great cards and we're like, oh, it's prosperity and it's love and all these good things are kind of around. And then we're like, cool, that's just going to happen for me. I don't have to do anything. But a lot of the time, like, we're not open to receiving. So then these things come in little ways or big ways, and we don't even notice that they're coming because we're just not open to them. And so that can be a really interesting experience. And then we're like, oh, Vic said there'd be prosperity and all these good things, but I didn't see any of it. And it's like, well, were you open to it? Were you open to it? Were you looking for it? Were you like attracting it? You know, like, were you doing what you needed to do to be open to that? And there's nothing wrong with it if you weren't. You know, it's all just a learning curve and a learning opportunity. But I'm feeling like a heart opening, like working on the heart chakra this month. That's like the main thing for you this month, is to work on the heart chakra. So you are, you know, Taurus is generally very grounded, very focused on the material world. I feel like moving that energy up into the heart would be really, really useful for you this month. Opening the heart, working on whatever that means for you. That means so many different things to work on opening the heart chakra, right? But there's like it's almost like there's a little little part of the higher heart I'm feeling as well for you, like the higher heart chakra, which is just above, you know, the heart's kind of here, and then just above there it's like your higher heart. Working on opening that, because it's almost like the higher heart. I'm feeling for you, you know, so many different ways to look at the chakra system, but I'm feeling for you at the moment that you know, the heart is kind of, for a lot of us, the heart is where we give from, and the higher heart is where we receive. So that's kind of like an interesting way to look at it. So the heart is where we give love and where we send love, and the higher heart is where we receive it. And so if the heart is open and we're sending love and, you know, we're able to do that, but we're not really feeling like we receive it, it may be because the higher heart needs some opening as well. So that can be something for you to think about, being open to receiving all of the good things that are available to you. Working on your worthiness issues, you know, that's always like a big thing when it comes to being open to receiving. So often it just comes down to our feelings about ourselves that we just don't feel worthy to receive. And sometimes that can be really like deeply subconscious. You know, it's not something that we're like, oh yeah, I know I have worthiness issues. You know, most people with worthiness issues, we don't know that we have them. We don't know that we have them, you know? So bringing them up, having a look at that, like, do I feel worthy? Do I feel like I should have this? You know, all of that kind of stuff can be really, really useful to help you open that higher heart and receive more and more good stuff in your life. I hope that this resonated with you, Taurus. I hope there was something useful in it for you. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to have a chat with you. And if you'd like to work together this month, all of the deets on how we can do that together are down below as well. And I'm just sending you lots and lots of love. See you next time.